Vietnam War True Stories, The Sơn Tây Prison Raid, 1970. By 1970, hundreds of American prisoners of war were being held inside North Vietnam. Many had endured years of isolation, interrogation, poor food, and uncertain treatment. Their families knew little about their condition, and American officials feared that some might not survive much longer. That year, intelligence identified a prison camp near the town of Sơn Tây, only about 23 miles west of Hanoi. Reconnaissance photographs suggested that dozens of American prisoners could be held inside the compound. The location presented enormous danger. Sơn Tây stood deep inside enemy territory, surrounded by North Vietnamese troops, air defenses, and military installations. Any rescue force would have to fly hundreds of miles at low altitude, penetrate one of the most heavily defended regions in the world, land beside the prison, locate the prisoners, and escape before enemy reinforcements arrived. The mission was given the code name Operation Ivory Coast. Air Force Brigadier General Leroy Manner directed the overall operation, while Army Colonel Arthur Bull Simons commanded the ground force. 56 Army Special Forces soldiers were selected for the assault and trained alongside Air Force crews at Eglin Air Force Base in Florida. For months, they rehearsed on a full-scale replica of the prison compound. Every movement was timed. Each man learned the walls, buildings, guard positions, and escape routes. Helicopter crews practiced flying at treetop height and maintaining formation in darkness. The raiders were divided into three main ground teams. The Blue Boy Assault Group, led by Captain Richard Meadows, would crash land inside the prison courtyard and immediately locate the prisoners. The Greenleaf Group would enter from outside and support the rescue. The Red Wine Group would secure the area, block enemy reinforcements, and protect the evacuation. Late on November 20, 1970, the force departed from Thailand. The ground assault was only one part of a much larger operation. More than 100 American aircraft supported the mission through navigation, refueling, fighter protection, electronic warfare, search and rescue, and diversionary flights. Navy aircraft created activity near Haiphong to distract North Vietnamese air defenses while the helicopters approached Sơn Tây from another direction. Flying low through darkness, the helicopters followed a specially equipped C-130 toward the target. Shortly after 2 a.m. on November 21st, the raid began. The Blue Boy helicopter crossed the prison wall and deliberately crash-landed inside the compound. Meadows and his men rushed from the wrecked aircraft, engaged the guards, and moved quickly toward the cell blocks. Outside the walls, other raiders used explosives to create an entrance. One helicopter mistakenly landed at a nearby compound that resembled the prison. The soldiers aboard recognized the mistake, fought their way clear, and moved to join the main force. Within minutes, the raiders controlled the compound. But the cells were empty. The prisoners had been moved several months earlier, reportedly after flooding threatened the camp. Intelligence had found signs that Sơn Tây might no longer be occupied, but officials believed the chance of saving the men justified continuing the mission. Captain Meadows transmitted the message the entire force feared. There were no prisoners at Sơn Tây. The raiders immediately began their withdrawal. They gathered their wounded, destroyed equipment that could not be recovered, boarded the waiting helicopters, and escaped before major enemy reinforcements arrived. The ground operation lasted less than half an hour. No member of the assault force was killed. 2 Americans were injured, one by gunfire and another during the landing, and the entire force returned safely to Thailand. The mission had penetrated deep into one of the world's most heavily defended regions and escaped without losing a raider. In its immediate objective, the raid failed. Not one prisoner was rescued. Yet its wider effects were far more complicated. Fearing another rescue attempt, North Vietnam consolidated many American prisoners into fewer camps. That decision allowed men who had spent years in isolation to communicate, organize, and support one another. News of the raid also reached the prisoners. For years, their captors had tried to convince them that the United States had abandoned them. The sound of helicopters near Sơn Tây proved otherwise. American forces had crossed hundreds of miles of hostile territory and risked everything to bring them home. Former prisoners later described an extraordinary rise in morale. They understood that their country knew where they were, cared about their survival, and had not forgotten them. The Sơn Tây raid remains one of the boldest special operations missions of the Vietnam War. It found an empty prison, but it demonstrated extraordinary planning, coordination, courage, and precision. Most importantly, it delivered a message to American prisoners throughout North Vietnam. Someone was still coming for them. If you have any photos, videos, or stories to share, please send us a message. And to all veterans, thank you for your service.